Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by the Ham Station. Get your new radio or antenna by calling 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com.
It's Ham Radio with N0AX. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is Ham Talk Live, episode number 28. Ward Silver, N0AX of the YASME Foundation and the Spurious Emissions Band, recorded live on Thursday, August 25th, 2016. I'm your host, N0AX, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight we'll be joined by the one and only Ward Silver, N0AX, the president of the YASME Foundation, and editor and columnist at ARRL, and a member of the famous Spurious Emissions Band. We'll take your calls in just a few minutes. My apologies for starting a couple minutes late. The software decided to lock up all of a sudden, and my apologies if I seem a little run down tonight. I got cellulitis yesterday, and I really didn't even feel like talking until about an hour ago, so we should be fine. But anyway, thanks for your patience and thanks for tuning in. Last week, our Huntsville Hamfest preview was with Charlie Emerson N0AX, and if you haven't been to the world's friendliest Hamfest, you really should make plans to go next year. If you missed the show, you can listen at any time at hamtalklive.com or on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Get all your questions ready to go. After the introduction, you can call us on Skype. That username is HamTalkLive. And you can also call by telephone, of course. The number is 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261. You can also tweet us a question. Our Twitter handle is at HamTalkLive. And you can join the chat room also. We'll be back with Ward Silver N0AX right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's dime store since 1978, bringing connectors, antennas, cables, and other parts to the world. Scott and Jill travel the country bringing their store to you at Hamfest, but you can also order online at pl-259.com or by calling 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and N connectors, audio cables, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated N connectors are even in use on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics is a dealer for MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro Technologies. Tower Electronics online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
The grass may be greener on the other side, but at least we don't have to mow it. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with N0AX.
We'd like to thank Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight and help bring you Ham Talk Live. They'll be at the Shelby Hamfest in North Carolina, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And coming soon to Findlay, Ohio, Peoria, Illinois, and Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Call 920-435-2973 or visit their website at pl-259.com. Be sure to listen to Ham Talk Live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here at HamTalkLive.com. And if you miss the show, you can download the podcast from the website or most popular podcasting websites. Ward Silver, N0AX, it was first licensed at age 16 in 1972. His ham radio interest led him to a degree in electrical engineering from the University of Missouri at Rolla, which is now the Missouri University of Science and Technology. Ward spent his time in broadcast engineering and field and product development engineering for many years. And he's an avid DXer and contester and has been on the DXCC honor roll in the top 10 in several contests and several record lists. He's one of the founders of the World Radio Sport Team Championships and continues to support that organization. He's currently the president of the YASME Foundation, which you'll hear more about in just a couple of minutes. He's operated for many of the big-time contest stations like K3LR, HC8N, K9CT, and VE7SV. Ward has pursued technical writing and is the lead editor of the ARRL Handbook and Antenna Book. He's authored many others, such as the ARRL License Study Guides, Ham Radio for Dummies, and many, many articles. For 20 years, he was the author of the ARRL Contest Corral, and he's written several ham radio novels. He was the 2008 Dayton Hamvention Amateur of the Year, and in 2015, he was inducted into the CQ Contest Hall of Fame. And he enjoys his music and performs with his Spurious Emissions Band each year at Dayton. Ward, welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Thanks, Neil. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so glad you're here, and we want to talk first about the YASME Foundation. So tell us all about the YASME Foundation and where that name comes from and what the goal is of that foundation.
Okay, well, the YASME Foundation has been around since the late 50s. It was really formed originally to take care of some of the travel expenses and boat maintenance for one of the very first real de-expeditioners, a guy named Danny Weil, who was an Englishman. He's a young watchmaker, decided to hit the salty seas like many English do, and bought a small boat and sailed it across the Atlantic by himself. And somebody told him, you really got to check out this ham radio stuff while you're out there. It would give you some communications. And so he did get his license. And while he was sailing around the Atlantic, got acquainted with a lot of the hams of the day. And then, make a long story short, wound up visiting quite a number of countries in the Caribbean and the Pacific via 3 different YASME boats. And the name of the boats were YASME. And to help keep Danny going, these guys formed a foundation and helped out with QSLs and replacing the boat. I said there were 3 of them. One hit a rock. 2 sank, I guess. I'll just put it that way without getting into the details. And there was actually a 4th, but it caught fire and blew up and sank in the harbor before he could even start with it. And so there was actually 4 YASMEs. Reminds me of the old Monty Python and the Holy Grail scene where the guy talks about his castle, building the castle, and it sank into the swamp, and eventually he builds enough castles and gets one to stay up. YASME, sort of an offshoot of a Japanese word, yasume, that means a variety of things. Peace, to make peaceful, to make calm. It's one of those semi-translatable concepts. And so the word YASME is the title or the name of Danny's boat. Okay, so Danny knocked off the expeditioning in the early 60s. Foundation was dormant for a little while, and then this pair of expeditioners, a couple from California, Lloyd and Iris Colvin, W6KG and W6QL, decided that they would give it a try, and they wound up visiting over 260 countries and operating from nearly 170 over 20 years or more. And the YASME Foundation took care of handling all their cards. And this is quite a story. It's all described in this book called the YASME book, the YASME DXpeditions, and it's available from the ARRL. If you've just gotten into the DX game and you hear stories about the Colvins and Danny Weil and Don Miller and Gus Browning and all these guys and gals, and you're wondering what the heck is all this, it's an excellently researched book by Jim Kane, K1TN, and it really lays it all out for you. It's a great historical thing. So anyway, that's basically the history, the early history of the foundation. Today, the foundation lives on. It's funded by an endowment from the Colvin's estate, and so we're not interested in getting any donations or anything. We support a variety of projects. We're a nonprofit, an official, a real live 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and we're organized to support scientific and educational projects related to amateur radio. And mostly we're interested in DXing. There are 8 board members currently, and we are all of a history of DXing and contesting an HF operation. So we're really interested in promoting amateur radio in developing countries, and we have supported various projects relating to amateur radio, but really interested in opening doors for amateur radio technically and administratively. We have board members from Europe, and they help with various projects around the world. And we're really getting into encouraging youth participation in amateur radio. So that, in a nutshell, is what the YASME Foundation is about. We deliberately keep it a little bit vague so we don't get tied down too specifically, and we're always on the lookout for good projects. So that's basically what we do, Neil.
Oh, that sounds great. And why don't you tell us a little bit? I know that YASME has done some excellence awards. Why don't you tell me about the recent winners? You've got some excellent choices that are close to my heart. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those excellence awards that just happened in the last few months?
I'll do that. YASME sponsors some operating awards. And that's the usual thing, make some contacts and get a prize, and there's some very nice ones. But this is an award that the YASME Foundation makes to individuals who have achieved something special. They have labored in the trenches in support of ham radio. They've exhibited some kind of payback to amateur radio. And we're kind of looking for people who are not really on the beaten track, not always the same faces in the news, although in 2016 we have a nice mix of people who are lesser known and people who are well known. We started this award program in 2008, and the award is basically a nice check and a handsome crystal globe with the name of the awardee engraved on it. And this year, we gave 3 awards, one to Tim Duffy, K3LR, who is a well-known amateur, but it's not so well known that he is the driving force behind Contest University, www.contestuniversity.com. It's an all-day radio sport education program that's held every year on the Thursday before the Dayton Hamvention, and it is now seating over 200 every year, selling out with youth and experienced and not so experienced hams who want to learn more about contest operating attending. There's a lot of professors, which are experienced contesters, and we have a pretty good time all day. But
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's been a great thing, and we've been able to take some of my high school students over to Contest University the last couple of years, and we've just learned a lot from it.
it's starting to happen around the world, and it's inspired others to create CTU-like training programs for DXing and other things. So Tim got one of the prizes this year. We gave it to him at Contest University, so that was kind of neat. Another face that you see in the news, and Neil, I know you know her well, is Carol Perry, WB2 Mike Golf Papa. Carol is a huge force in the teaching and mentoring of youth interested in amateur radio. She's been at this for decades, literally decades, and she's now the QCWA youth coordinator, and she directs programs for youth through the Radio Club of America, both fine organizations in and of themselves. And so we wanted to recognize that, and so we were able to give Carol her prize at the Dayton Instructors Forum. So that was kind of neat. And the third is a fellow that not many people know of, Tom Rauch, W8 Japan, India. Tom has made many, many contributions to technical areas in the amateur service, the top band operating, lightning grounding, antenna design, all sorts of electronics. And his website, www.w8ji.com, is a real resource in a lot of areas. And Tom exemplifies one of the amateur principles, and that is to teach yourself. Tom has taught himself a lot of what he's found out. He's not willing to just accept the say-so of the authorities. He's gone out and verified it, and in some cases unverified certain electrical and electronic myths, and we're all the better for it. So Tom got the third award this year. And that's typical of the people that we give the award to, people that pay back to ham radio and make contributions.
All excellent and worthy recipients, and thanks a lot for recognizing those people. I know that they all have done marvelous things, and it's great that you're able to recognize all that they do. Absolutely. So I understand YASME has a brand new website coming very soon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep. If you go out and Google YASME, and I'm sure some people did, it's spelled YASME, Yankee Alpha Sierra Mike Echo. Our old website was getting a little long in the tooth, and we've contracted to have it redone. It's almost finished, and we should have it released next week. It's going to have a lot of history, some photos. It has some really cool old scans of the YASME News, which was a publication put out in the early 60s, sort of the newsletter. And these are fairly rare artifacts, and they've been scanned by our web mistress, Susie Coleman, and we're going to have a much nicer presentation. So take a look at it next week. It'll be yasme.org, should be available by the end of the month.
Very good. Well, that's always good to have some more resources out there, and so that's great that you're able to do that. Well, the other thing we wanted to talk about, of course, is the Spurious Emissions Band, and you guys get together and play every year at Dayton, and tell us who else is in the band with you, and who comes up with the idea for for all these songs?
Well, the band consists of me. I play mandolin. Kirk Pickering, Kilo 4 Radio Oscar, is our guitarist, and he's quite an amazing guy. He plays a lot of different stringed instruments, and he's mostly interested in the fiddle right now. He's an old-timey fiddle player, but he can pick up a Stratocaster and whip out a pretty good solo on a variety of songs. Scott Robbins, the owner of Vibraplex Whiskey 4 Pale Ale, and he is a semi-pro bass player on the side. Scott apparently has several clones that get everything done. He plays in at least 2 bands and runs the company and travels around and still manages to show up and play bass. He said it made his time in a cover band all worthwhile back in the day. And then our drummer is Sean Kutzko, KX9X, the ARL's public relations manager. And we're all just sort of approximately the same age. We have a lot of the same musical taste. We like classic rock, country rock, AOR stuff, Grateful Dead, the blues, Bob Dylan, all these different things. So we get together once a year. We've been getting together at Kirk's house last couple of years in Nashville. And it's great to be able to say, yes, I'm flying to Nashville to rehearse. It sounds so cool. But basically, we hang out in the basement, drink beer, and eat pizza and laugh our rear ends off. And we just practice for a weekend. And I'm typically the guy that comes up with the ideas for the song lyrics. It's either a bug or a feature. I haven't quite figured it out. But when the muse calls, and I just really enjoy it. There's about 160 different songs in the book right now. So we have a lot of material to play with. And then we just try to work out an arrangement for it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's surprisingly difficult to make some of these songs sound good. But, we'll do in any particular year, we might do Pink Floyd and David Bowie and, like I said, Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. It's just whatever works. And it's just funny lyrics, sort of, I call it hamifying the lyrics of rock songs to be ham-ish, and everybody gets a big laugh out of it. We play on Friday night, and that's basically it. And then we fade back into the woodwork. And sometimes we're joined by the lovely Katie Allen, WY7YL, and her husband Dwayne, WY7FD, Mark Beckwith, K5OT has sung with us, and occasionally Bruce from K0BJ will show up and sing. We were also joined by Val Hotzfeld, NV9L, this year on a wonderful version of Walk on the Wild Side. And she and Katie did a great job on the chorus. So it's all on YouTube. Our plausible deniability is completely shot, and we have a great time. So it's just, I guess I'm sort of the chief irritant that comes up with these things, but everybody else contributes. And the song you're going to play here is actually written by Sean, and it's our cover of the NCJ signature tune, and it's all him. So it's great. We had great fun with it.
All right. Well, let's take a listen. If you haven't heard the Spurious Emissions Band, you really should. So we're going to take a listen to On the Cover of the NCJ right here on Ham Talk Live.
Ride with the K24 and POGA. The best thing that'll get you get your picture on the cover of the NCJ. NCJ, my 8-year-old NCJ. Going by copies for my mother. Don't see my little smiling face on the cover of the NCJ. Got a big coffin answer and I'll give you skin cancer when you stand in front of it too long. You got a gold plated stadium, you're a fair. It moves right over your dog. We keep on winning and the fun is just beginning and it's probably gonna stay that way. We're writing contests richer, but we can't get our picture on the cover of the NCJ. NCJ, my picture on the NCJ. My copies for my NCJ. My smiling face on the cover of the NCJ. NCJ, my picture on the cover. NCJ, my copies for my mother. NCJ, my smiling face on the cover of the NCJ.
All right, there you have it. And it's the cover of the NCJ on Ham Talk Live. So, are you guys wanting to get on the cover of the National Contest Journal? Is that?
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, that sort of occurred to us afterwards. Kirk was actually the editor of the NCJ at the time, so it's kind of funny to think about. So Sean came up with it. I don't know quite what the inspiration was. Usually it's something like you just notice there's a rhythm and something just kind of pops into your head that this word sort of has the same flow as that word, and suddenly you've got a line, and then the muse takes over and a half an hour goes by and you've got most of it roughed out. So I don't know, alcohol might have been involved. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
but
maybe. Yeah.
No, I think Sean just got the the cover of the NCJ. Well, it was at practice, I'll put it that way. We were laughing. It was great. And then Scott says, here I am. I've won contest. I've labored to get in the top 10 all these times and stuff. And what do I get on the cover of the NCJ for? A parody band. So anyway, that was the deal. Sean came up with it. It's a big hit. Everybody enjoys it. It's our closing number, which may be why everybody enjoys it. I don't know. So our concerts are free, $5 to get out. Anyway, we're just trying to have a good time. We practice once a year, so we don't have any pretensions about being really super duper cover band people. We're just having a good time.
Well, I've been trying to work on this idea I had is bow fang.
Yeah.
The kind of like wild thing. Bow fang.
Bow fang.
You make my wallet sing.
Oh, you make my belt sink.
Oh, belt sink. Yeah.
You make my belt sink. You make radio go rude.
There we go.
We haven't come up with anybody to do the bad recorder solo yet, so
right.
might not make the big time. Might get left on the cutting room floor, as they say.
Yeah, I think so. I think I better stick to broadcasting and not.
Yeah, better stay with that day job there.
Yeah, better stick with the teaching job. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take your calls. We'll come back and do that right after this word from the Ham Station right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by the Ham Station. For 35 years, the Ham Station has brought new and used radios, antennas, accessories, and equipment to the amateur radio community. Give Jeff or Dan a call at 1-800-729-4373 or order online at hamstation.com. Ham Station carries all the major brands like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood. Shop from a wide selection of radio scanners, MFJ accessories, Heil Sound products, Mirage and Ameritron amplifiers, Cushcraft antennas, and more. Easy online shopping and fast shipping are waiting for you at hamstation.com or call 1-800-729-4373. The Ham Station, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
Ham Talk Live with N0AX. Hey, baby, I'd love to be in your grid square.
Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at HamTalkLive or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. The Ham Station has you covered for both new and used equipment. Give Dan or Jeff a call at 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com. Be sure to listen to Ham Talk Live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on hamtalklive.com. Also, check out our Facebook page and Twitter feed. Just search for Ham Talk Live. Well, it's time to take your calls if you have a question for Ward or maybe even a long-distance dedication. Call 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype your questions at Ham Talk Live, or you can post in the chat room, or whatever. Just get a hold of us. And we actually have a caller with us this evening, Ryan, KD9DAB. Good evening, Ryan.
Hello, I am live from Ashton dorm room here on IU's campus.
Very
Excellent.
good. Yeah, you just moved in this week. And, so
Yep,
we're,
first week of classes are down.
yeah,
It's been a fun time.
great.
Very
Well, what's
Sean,
your
Sean
question here for Ward?
is an IU alumni, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We love it here. So, Ward, I know we've been in contact before because as a youth in Ham, especially with a passion for contesting, and I think we are pretty like-minded that youth in contesting is definitely a very good way of getting new people in the hobby.
Mhm.
What do you think could enhance the ability of young contesters or make them feel more included in the community?
Well, let's see. You know, the old joke about how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. There is no substitute for just getting on the air and operating in little contests and big ones, whatever. Make sure you get your call out there into the results, and you'll build some visibility, and that's how the community sort of notices you, just by operating a lot and turning in scores. If you find out that there's a multi-op in your area, contact the host, ask them if you can come over and take a shift or, whatever. And if there isn't one in your area, start one. Basically just get your call sign out there and the community will notice you. So, plus, contesting is a terrific way to get a powerful dose of ham radio know-how real quick. You learn how to operate. You learn how to fix equipment. You learn how to, you learn about propagation. You learn all sorts of things real fast, and it makes you, it gives you some skills you can use for less competitive activities. So anyway, that's my advice.
Okay, yeah, and kind of to expand on what you said, as a young ham that I got started in a contest club, Neil's Club, and we kind of migrated into a contest-oriented club. It really does teach me faster than any other way that I can imagine. Just learning how to operate propagation, that was a big thing that I learned through contesting. And then, of course, the Murphy's Law and having to fix broken things. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one.
We've had our share, haven't we, Ryan?
I'm sorry?
I said we've had our share of those fixing broken things, haven't we?
There was only that one time I almost had heat stroke.
Yeah. Yeah, you haven't lived until a linear amplifier blows up at 3 a.m. when you're half asleep. So anyway, thanks for calling. I'm glad you called.
Yeah, thank you, and hope to keep in touch with you. And I appreciate what you've been trying to do as a young ham, and to get more people like me into the hobby. I think people like you are more people like you are needed in the community to really keep it alive and thriving. So I just wanted to say thank you from all the young hams.
Well, thanks for the kind words. We try to have fun with it, and I think that's the key.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Ryan, for calling. Appreciate it. And we have another caller on the line. We have Mr. Sterling Coffee, N0SSC. How you doing, Sterling?
Hey Neil, hey Ward. I bet Ward knows me pretty well. I'm an alumni of his alma mater at Missouri S&T. We both share a BS triple E, and I said that right. A BS W0EEE is the call sign down there. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to publicly embarrass and thank, just like Ryan, all of the stuff that you've done for me in the past, all of the help you've given the club, the Triple E club, and all of the rides you've given me to Dayton, and all of the great songs you put out at Spurious Emissions. I've been there as many years as I've can, and I've remembered when you guys were in the corner of the smallest room in the Crown Plaza, and you guys have expanded out, and now it feels like I'm going to an Eagles concert or something.
Well, thanks for the kind words. It's been fun, and everybody, you haven't lived until you listen to Sterling operate a 6-meter mobile opening as we go right through a violent thunderstorm and hailstorm, and the band opens up along the front, and he's trying to operate at the same time I'm trying to keep us from getting killed on I-70. It was pretty impressive.
There was good stories, and the story about the one where we lost our keys and got them back via Simplex ham radio 14652 saved our butts.
Oh man, we could have been in that rest stop for a long time.
Oh my.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to thank you and the YASME Foundation and NCDXF for the support you guys gave Youngsters on the Air. Ward is the president, as you all know, of YASME, and they help support the Youngsters on the Air camp, which I've been trying to spread the news around the U.S. I just got back from Huntsville, and I talked up Yoda. We're trying to do something to bring YOTA to the U.S. or to Region 2 and spread it around the world so we can really have this week-long camp type scenario for young people to enjoy. And I really can't thank you enough. And, first of all, emailing me in the first place, whether or not I was interested. I can't overstate my my appreciation.
You look like you had a great time. Let me give everybody a little whiff of what's going on here. Go to ham-yota, YOTA, Yankee Oscar Tango Alpha.org, and check it out. And there's also a Facebook page called Youngsters on the Air. And the Youngsters on the Air is a European name. And basically, that doesn't mean children. It means young people up to about the age of 30, any place from preteens all the way through 30, having a great time on their own doing whatever they want to do in ham radio. And the Region 1 folks have really put together this terrific organization. And so Sterling and I believe your next week's guest, Sam Rose, KC2LRC, went over, had a rockin' good time in Austria, and they're going to bring that Yoda goodness back over here to Region 1, and let's see if we can get something going.
Yeah, we're going to do a show exclusively on that with Sam soon, and we may have to see if we can pull Sterling into that as well.
Sure.
But,
glad to give you a little teaser there.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be fabulous. So, looking forward to talking about that a little bit more.
Yeah, Yoda is a good thing. I want to see a lot of hams, especially the younger hams, getting on, do what you want to do. Don't hang around with us old guys. Do what you want to do. And Yoda is a good way to do that.
Very good. Well, Sterling, thank you for calling in, and
Thanks
yeah,
for taking
we'll
the
have
call.
to we'll have to get you in here. I can't remember. I don't think it's in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'll have to check the calendar, but yeah, we'll have to get you in here too.
Sure. I'd love to. All right, guys. Thanks for taking the call. Have a great rest of the show, and thanks, Neil.
All right, Sterling.
73, Sterling.
7-3 Ward.
All right. Well, we're just about to finish up, and we had a pile up tonight. There were some people calling earlier that we weren't able to squeeze in. So my apologies for that, but had a lot of response tonight. Good to have that. So, Ward, any closing comments here? We have about a minute.
Well, I'd say thanks for the interest. I hope people check out YASME and check out the history of ham radio. I've got one foot in the deep history of DXing, and another foot in what I hope is the future of a lot of ham radio, and that is bringing in young people and of all sorts to have a great time, try to help them find out activities they want, design their own activities, put together their own organizations, just like we did when we got started. And come one, come all, let's have a good time. Ham radio is where it's at.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ward, and thank you for all your responsibilities that you're taking care of, and with the YASME and with the band, and we're going to be watching for those new songs next year at Dayton.
I got a ton.
All right, can't wait to hear them. That's Ward Silver, N0AX. And that's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks again to Ward Silver, N0AX, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in. And we'll invite you back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit HamTalkLive.com. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours. And we're going to send you out with a little more cover of the NCJ.